And so you grew up on the coast near the bush.
Yeah, I did. I grew up on an Aboriginal community called Wreck Bay. So my mother's family are from that area, but then also we've got connections here in Sydney.
Mm-hmm.
So our other family line is Gadigal. Like the communities that I grew up in weren't very westernised, and there was still a lot of traditional Aboriginal practices like living on the sea, and actually my uncle was a master fisherman. Yeah, the old people used to read the planets, and so they knew by the alignment of the stars when the tides would change and when the different schools of fish or whatever would come through. Most of my early life depended on all of that knowledge.
And so that connection, I guess, was a strong point in your upbringing. So you lived symbiotically with
it really
with
was.
the environment.
Yeah, it's sort of like it's a bit like freaky to my daughters now because they can't imagine a time where well, for starters, money has no relevance in communities where there's no shops. So I grew up in a different paradigm where the economy was not just a financial economy. Like if you can't catch a fish, a saltwater community, then you're just going to starve to death. So do you know what I mean? That environment sort of teaches you about being humble, and that you have to work with nature, and you have to understand certain things like when to catch fish, what level the tide will be at, what are the dangers. I named it a sustainability story map that is referenced from Indigenous knowledge systems. So a lot of our artworks all have these different stories that then tell a bigger description of a story that can be read. There's actually 10 sections in that one design.
Wow.
Yeah, and then I had to do that without sort of overcrowding it. So they're the people, so that's community, represents community, individual people coming together and collaborating. And then these are sort of stylistic, like of the land, country, land, landscapes, earth, that sort of natural environment. And then the weaving pieces are, it means the spirals being generational knowledge handed down, but then weaving also represents well-being and healing. So for me, my interpretation of all the aspects to do with sustainability are around well-being. It's well-being of people, well-being of land, of water management, of communities. We still need to live in cities where there's beautiful spaces. We have access to all of the resources that we need. And then the stars are, we have this belief that people are spirit beings and they exist in stars before they come to the physical plane. So to me, they're like future generations in the stars that are still waiting to be born. Yeah. And we believe too, when you pass over, you become a star. So it's kind of like this space before you become manifest in the human form.
Yeah.
We have like these 4 directional pathways. Mm-hmm. So on our left, that represents the past. And so I included past practices of traditional land management knowledges, and also around the world that previous generations on our earth have all been custodians for us to now inherit, these waters and seas and, clean air and everything. So that's the past, and then in the centre is the present now, and these radiating lines represent knowledge going in and knowledge coming out. So all of these knowledges come into this space where we sit now in the present time, and it radiates in the directions because that's communicating that knowledge outward as well. And then this pathway on the right is towards the future. So taking what we learnt from the past and then bringing that through. But this is important because it kind of, we're the generation that is going to determine what the next generation inherit. And the one sort of going down represents the earth and being grounded and living in like the environment. So us being aware, not just knowledge, but it's in our bodies, because we're drinking the water and we're eating the food that grows. Yeah.
We're not disconnected
No,
from
we're not
it
disconnected.
at all. Yeah.
And then up usually always means into like imagination and thinking and higher self.
Yeah.
So when we sort of take out higher ground and we think of the responsibility, then we're using our creative mind and imagination to and intellect to make these decisions. Yeah. And then the full circle is kind of like Mother Earth and everything that's contained, all the elements contained. So it's the body of knowledge, and it's thinking about these separate elements, and then how we can just amalgamate all of that.